All right. Let's get this party started, huh?
Okay, let's
You
go.
have so much energy. I'm like, oh, your kids are taking a nap. I could go for a nap.
Right? No, they needed it. I don't know what's going on with the solar system, but there was a lot of attitude in my house today.
Are we allowed to blame Pluto? That's what all the astrologists are doing. They're blaming Pluto.
Great.
Yeah. At least Pluto's getting the recognition it deserves.
Right. Wasn't it not a planet there for a while?
Yeah,
It was a moon.
Like or a ball of ice or something.
Wow.
Yeah, there's something.
I refuse to agree with that.
Yeah, it's always been a planet to me.
All right.
This is exciting, Tana. We have a guest again today, and we're gonna talk all about my friend Casey and her Enneagram 8-ness here in a second. But before we totally jump into that, I'm probably gonna leave all that other conversation in, by the way.
I expected as much.
Before we jump into that, I'm gonna kick this off really, really quick. Tana and I are not gonna rabbit hole first thing. This is Tana and I's podcast called Enneagram Adventure, where we talk about life and development through the lens of the Enneagram, and we invite our friends on to talk about how they relate to their type and give first-hand accounts of each type. Did I miss anything, Tana?
No. Just
Okay.
my usual reminder that Enneagram is based off your core motivation, not behaviors, like most other personality assessments that you may have taken before. And I love 8s. They're very near and dear to my heart. I kind of collect them.
It's true. She has a lot of 8s in her life. So do I, though.
As I have learned.
So I am very excited that you're here. For those of you who don't know, Casey also got me through my first half marathon alongside of me, telling me, we got it, it's fine, we're good. So I love Casey for many reasons, but that's a big one. My first time meeting her, we ran a half. It was awesome.
We spent a lot of quality time together there.
You learned a lot about me in a very short, decent amount of time.
Very quickly. I think that's what you've been.
Like,
right?
It's interesting, right? Like, you should have to meet people for the first time under a stressful situation, so then you really know who they are.
That's true. I think that is true.
Well, I think all of the best friendships that I have been built around some sort of stressful event, chosen or not, right? Like,
Right.
In the case of, and we'll probably get into this a little bit, but in the case of Casey and I, it's been through endurance sports that we've built a friendship, which is a chosen stress. So,
all right.
Self-inflicted pain.
We love that. Let's get into it. I'm excited you're here.
I'm excited to be here. Kind of impromptu, but I've been ready. I caught up on all the podcasts in about a week. And then one of them was 12 hours of driving. And I was like, podcast.
well, we love that. We appreciate that.
I said though, I'm not a podcast person. I'm a visual person. And so like if I'm listening and I'm doing something else, I'm completely tuning out whatever I hear. And so it took me a while to like get on board with listening to the podcast. But once I was in, I was like sucked in.
That's great. I have all the questions because, Casey, you're actually the first person that I've spent a decent amount of time with at this point that's a self-pres 8. The other 8s I have in my life are either one-to-one or social. So I'm excited to learn
Just a little nuanced
about all the things. And you know your tri-type, right? We should talk about,
Yes.
We should share that.
Yes, I'm an 8-7-3. So not only am I an 8 wing 7, but 8-7 comes out real strong.
Awesome.
So just for quick high-level reminder for anybody who might be new on this episode, which if you are, welcome. But the tri-type, what Casey's mentioning is that she acts like an 8, she feels like a 3, and she thinks like a 7. So
I have so many questions. I
have all the answers. I'm ready.
She's an 8. Oh, man. So when did you learn about your number, Casey? So like, you known that you're an 8?
Yeah, so that was a good old COVID adventure with Holly. And I think, Laura, who was on previously, it was the same time. And I did I don't know if I ever did any like free ones before that, but I did the IEQ 9 one and found out I was an 8, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's me. And then in 2022, did the one that you got the extra. So that's when I did more around like tri-type and all of that.
Okay. So when you learned you were an 8 and I hear you're like, yes, that makes perfect sense. What resonated the most?
Definitely the needing control, and that like safety and security piece, the like relentless, like these are my people and I'm going to protect them kind of thing. And I'm going to be there for them and show up. And then also everybody was thinking this, but I'm going to be the one that says it out loud. That's me.
That's actually one of the most anxiety inducing / like things I'm most grateful for in my 8 husband. Like he'll say the thing so I get nervous that I'm like, oh God, he's going to say something and it's really going to offend somebody or hurt their feelings and so I'm on like pins and needles. Like first introductions for him, I'm always so nervous. So I'm like, don't ruin this. Like don't scare them away. But it's honestly, it comes in so handy because like we're also when we're in like an argument or something, like he'll just say the thing. Sometimes it takes a little bit of prying, but he'll just say it and then it is efficient, I guess. It leaves nothing mysterious, usually.
Nope. There's usually, you know what we're thinking or feeling in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we talk about 8s, some of the things that I've noticed, Holly, that we talk about a lot is like this feeling of anger. I could see if you're not watching, I could see Casey like giving a nod to like, yes, I am very angry. So tell me about like your relationship with that emotion or why that's so on the surface.
Yeah. So I would say one of my key phrases that I find myself saying a lot is, I'm so pissed. Like I say that a lot. And then I go, but I'm not really pissed. But like I have a really strong, feel like the feeling comes really strong and it's really hard, but it kind of passes pretty quickly for me. I'm so pissed. I'm so angry. And then like 5 seconds later, I'm like, I'm fine. It's over. I'm over it. Like passing by. And I often have to catch myself when I say I'm so pissed. What do I actually mean? And this just happened a week ago. And I was like, I was so angry. And then I was like, no, I wasn't angry. I was hurt. And so I've in this whole like self development that I've been going through, in the last few months, like stopping and reflecting on what am I actually feeling? It's actually not anger. There's something else below it. It just comes out as anger first.
That's so interesting. Go ahead.
I was going to say, one, Casey has been doing a ton of development work. It's been more than the last few months. It's been most of this year.
With Brandon.
Yeah, I was going to say. And just because we have to plug Brandon on every podcast, he also works with Brandon. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And as a true 8, it took me a long time to get to that point where I was willing to. But finally, I was like, I've done all of the other like physical work. I've done everything I can do. I need to work on my mental work too.
Okay, that was actually what I was going to ask you. I find myself trying to convince my husband all the time. I'm like, you need to talk to Brandon. You need to talk to Brandon. And in his 8 fashion, he's like, I don't need that right now. I don't need that right now. And I'm like, well, But what I was going to say with the feeling thing that you just talked about, what's really interesting, and I'm curious if you find it to be really difficult or if it's something that you're getting a bit more used to in terms of like the pause to recognize the emotion. Because if I think about your tri-type, a 3, like feelings are inefficient and they take time, and thinking like a 7 in the avoidance of pain. So like if you think back to that time where you said like, oh, I was actually hurt. Did you sit with that for a long time? How did you arrive at that? And then what did you do with it?
Yeah, so I channeled you, Tana, and listening to the podcast, and I was like, Tana would tell me to sit in this. So I had left where I was really upset, and I was driving home, and I was like, I let myself cry on the way home. I was like, I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry this out.
Wow.
And then I got home, and of course my mom was messaging me, I want to come over. I need to come over. I want to talk about it, because I think she's a 2 or a 9, and like she has to like talk about it, whereas I
Mhm.
need space. And that's been contentious my entire like teenage years, all the things. And I was like, no, like I don't want to talk right now. And finally, after like 5 messages, I was like, fine, come over. But then she came over, and I'm like, it completely ignoring her. I was like, I just want to sit in this right now. Like, I'm actually willing to. I want to sit in it. I want to be hurt. I want to be upset. Because normally I would be like, fine, it's fine, whatever. I'm fine. That used to be my go-to.
Okay. Holly, I have all kinds of questions.
No,
You're gonna have to
keep going.
You're gonna have to
Yeah,
fight to get a word
keep
in
going.
edgewise here. But okay, so with I totally resonate with your mom. The fix, like I need to fix it right now. Like we can't. Are you mad at me? Don't be mad at me.
I literally had to text her, I'm not mad at you.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. My
Based on our theory of lines, I would guess that her mom's a 2 if I had a.
I think she is as well.
Tell me a little bit about that, because if we think of soul child, do you resonate with that theory at all?
Yes, I do. I had been meaning to actually ask my mom or my dad, who knew me as like a young child, of like when they saw me change from that, like probably a 2 to an 8, like when that happened. I can think back though of like my favorite thing used to be like playing mom with babies, and like that I used to always want to take care of my babies and things like that. And also loving like real babies, real children. But I can't think of like a specific time of when it would have like switched, but I know, it was probably around like 8 or 9, around there.
Okay. Do you have siblings, Casey?
I do. I'm a middle child also.
Okay.
So I have an older brother and a younger sister.
It's so interesting to me that she's an 8 as a middle child, because I like a lot of people ask me if there's correlation in birth order with Enneagram type, and like you would break the mold on how that theory might work, because I don't think most people would think 8s as middles.
I also break the mold on the middle child. I am very much firstborn tendencies, and my brother is the opposite. So I think we're like switched, even though very clearly
Okay.
he's a older. Yes, but I am
Okay.
also the firstborn daughter, so I feel like that kind of takes on. But I break the mold in, yes, I very much say I have middle child syndrome, but I break the mold in that like stereotypical middle child versus firstborn.
Okay, this is really interesting because Holly, another 1 to 1 8 that you and I know, she's a middle child.
Is she?
Yes.
I thought she was the
Um,
youngest. I don't know why I thought that.
Nope, she has a younger brother. And she told me one time, Casey, that she, after listening to a little bit of Soul Child, she thought back to her childhood and she's like, I grew up to be an 8 because I had to demand attention.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. So that resonates. Holly, what would you say? Because I was thinking about this too. If we think about Casey's subtype in relation to a social 8 or a 1 to 1, like what do you think is the key difference?
Between the subtypes?
Yeah.
Well, social 8s and Casey on her coaching companion, social and self-pres are real close. But social 8s are the counter type of 8, just as a reminder, which can take some of their tendencies and like knock the edges off. That social subtype does that. What I will tell you is 1 to 1 8s are typically the most intense. And I think this is across the board. Other Enneagram teachers may disagree with me, but I think most 1 to 1 subtypes ratchet intensity on another level. I'm a 1 to 1. There's an 8. Well, the 8 you mentioned is 1 to 1. There's an 8 you and I know also that we worked with that's 1 to 1 who was just like took up the whole room when he entered it every single time.
Right.
But self-pres, what it is a little bit more protective. So because if you think about the 8 and their desire to have control, their desire to protect their people, their desire for justice, a lot of 8s talk about this desire for justice. The self-preservation part of that, I think, I don't want to say it doubles down, but it a little bit like brings more of that, like all like this idea of like all of these things need to be taken care of and I'm going to control and take care of them. And like I will be in charge of them. Does that make sense? Does that resonate?
Yes. Yes. Like I need to be the one who is prepared. I actually resonate a little bit with the 6, like preparedness, because it's like I need to have everything with me. I need to take care of this. I need to make sure that, my surroundings are safe, all of the things.
Interesting. Okay. So do you notice, Casey, that you, like, I hear you saying, like, you're very protective of your people. Are you also, like, very guarded from a personal, like,
Yes. That's what I'm working with Brandon on,
okay.
of like actually like opening up and letting people in. There are people who I easily, connect with, but kind of as Holly said, like we've been in like the deepest of deepest together. So that's a lot easier. But, if I haven't had that experience with somebody, I'm very social. I can talk to anybody, but like letting them in or feeling connected to, I'm very guarded.
Okay.
Yeah, Casey's never met a stranger.
No.
Where do you think that comes from? Like, if you can think back, like, where do you think that comes from, like, being burned as a kid? Like, there were some situations where you felt like you got burned for being vulnerable, or
Yes, and not so in this work with Brandon, I would say there were a couple situations, like socially as a kid, but also then there were a couple situations growing up where I don't know how to put this, but I've talked about it with Brandon of like my needs weren't like I wasn't trusted to voice my own needs. Like for example, when I was in high school and I wanted to see a therapist and I was told like, no, you're fine, you're okay. And then we've talked about it as an adult and my mom was just like, well, I thought you were the one that was going to be okay. And so it was kind of like I couldn't express my needs and have them be met by anyone else, if that makes sense. I had to meet my own
Interesting.
needs.
Interesting. That's like, if you think back to Soul Child, right? Because with me being a 2, I can, like, I have that similar feeling. It just translates differently. It's like I can't have needs instead of I need to be the one to meet my own.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not driven out of like, I'm going to do, like, I will do it myself then, and I'll take control of the situation. It's more so like I can't have those needs. Like, I need to be less, take up less space, need less things. So with your siblings, do you see like similar tendencies to you, or are they like way different? And or do you know their types?
I don't. I think my sister is also a 2 or a 9. Again, like avoiding conflict.
Mhm.
Well, she could also be a 6, though. I really need to get her to just take it. I think she, though, in her own investigation, I think has kind of said she's a 2. Ironically, she's a 2. Her husband, we feel like, is an 8, which is funny because we know a lot of those 2s and 8s. But anyways, my brother, I think, has a little bit more of me of that like independency. I'm going to do it myself. My sister is more the I need to meet the needs of others kind of person.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
I felt like I had to meet her needs growing up.
Sure.
One of the things you just said is interesting to me from the standpoint of this independence, because 5s feel that same independence, like desire to be like, oh, no, I can't trust anybody else to do it for me, so I'm just going to do it. I'm going to figure out how to do it myself. But that goes back to, I don't know if you listened to it, the episode we did where we went through like the rebellion theory, which for you would be moving to 5. Did that resonate with you?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was that stage, right? I don't remember.
Yeah, like high school, college,
Yeah.
like at the rebellious years most people
Yes.
have. Yeah.
Yes. And I would say mine would have been actually in high school more.
Okay.
Like, no, I'm gonna do it myself. Send
Okay.
me away. I want to go live with my grandma. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm gonna go live with her so I can be on my own and do it myself.
My gosh.
Did you actually go live with her?
No.
No. Oh.
No, because again, my needs were what I wanted was never valid or listened to.
That's funny. My husband was just telling me a few weeks ago, like he was so scarce around his house in high school, around that like rebellious stage. He would like go be at friends' houses for like days and then like come like a outside cat. Like he'd come for like fresh clothes, fresh clothes and a shower and like maybe a meal, and then he's like out again. And that's really
That's
interesting.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So related to stress. So when you feel stress, tell me about like how that shows up.
I go to my fiveness and I withdraw. I'm like, nope, I need to be alone.
Right. That
I'm gonna
example you
become
talked
a part
about.
of my couch and like tune out everything.
So is it because the feeling is super overwhelming that you need to withdraw, or like tell me a little bit about that, because my husband does the same thing. It drives me insane because I need to fix it right now. Like you can't be mad at me for this long. Like let's just get it over with. And 5 minutes feels like 5 years. Where I'm like, there's tension. I don't like it. I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I've been trying to kind of think of this of like why, what motivates it or like pulls us to go into that stress line. And I feel like it's because we use so much energy like trying like at first I'm going to try and solve it. Whatever's stressing me, I'm going to try and fix it first. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to withdraw because I just cannot handle this, and then I kind of numb it out, and then I just pretend it goes away sometimes.
Interesting. So when you're working with Brandon, and for those of you who you hear us talk about Brandon a lot, he's amazing. Everyone should work with him at some point. When he's telling you in a session with him, like, okay, breathe into your heart, like, where do you feel? Is there a spot that you feel it most?
So for me, it's actually really hard when he says that, breathe in, breathe in, where do you feel it? It's actually really hard for me to pinpoint a spot, and it takes a while, and sometimes I'm like, I don't have anything. But
Same.
yeah, but then I don't know why that is, but then I'll, come up with something. It's usually my jaw, like I'm usually tense in my jaw, and that's anger, of course, living there. But then, and I also find that with memories too, where he's like, okay, think of a memory, and I'm like, I got nothing for you. And I don't know if it's because my brain just like moves on, whatever it was, it's hidden away, and I need to like actually take the time and think about it. But I usually don't try to hold on to things. And so when he asks me for a memory, I'm like, I don't know, like maybe this one time. And then it comes to some
Interesting.
big, profound moment. And I'm like, oh, yep, nope, would have never guessed that. That just happened this week.
Holly,
Those are
you
my
have a hard time?
favorite. Yeah, if he tells me like where do you feel that in your body, okay, we're all on this running journey together, right? So sometimes he'll ask me that and I'll be like, do I feel it there or I'm just fucking sore?
Everything hurts.
Like, I don't know. Sometimes like to differentiate, and sometimes he and I will like talk about that because I'm like, I can't tell you if my hip, like last week when I talked to him, I was like, oh, my hip's really bothering me. But I ran this half marathon that was on a banked road and I feel like it really just like jacked me up. So it's hard for me to be like, is it hurt more because there's like also emotional junk there? Or am I just sore because, right? So I have a hard time like differentiating and pinpointing a lot of the time. Sometimes I can like once we start talking, I'll be like, oh, now like, oh, there it is. But I have to like get into the whole thing. It doesn't just happen for me.
Oh my God, you guys, holy shit. Whenever I would do that, I would be like, I feel it here and here and here.
Yeah, no, I usually when I like feel it, it's because I can feel whatever the thing is. Like the one time we had like 15 minutes left and we had talked about other things, and I was like, okay, now I need to address my left hamstring. And we talked through that, but other times I'm like, no, I can't feel it in my body. Like I'm laying here on my couch. I don't know.
Oh my God. That's like, it's so fascinating because I've said this on a couple of different episodes. Like my my ability to tell if I had a call, like my shoulders are literally lower. Like, I noticed that my posture is better after I had a call. But he would be like, "Oh, where do you feel that?" I'm like, in my chest, in my stomach, in my
Well, you even told me about one time where you like pinpointed it like in your uterus or something, and I was like, the fuck if I could ever tell you what that feels like.
Bro,
Nope.
like, it was wild. It was wild. Like, it's so easy. Never have I ever had a call with him where I was like, I have no idea where I feel it.
You're also a 2. You're like, you got the 8 and the 5 over here. We're like, God, no idea.
No
Oh
idea.
my God. I'm
I'm
like,
like, can we talk about my acne? I mean, I don't feel that,
oh
but
my
look at the, you know, like
God.
that's what I do.
I'm like legitimately like swimming in feelings. And he's like, whoa, one at a time. He'll be like,
Funny.
okay, you feel it there. Breathe into there. What memory's coming up for you? Immediately, I can be like, oh, this happened. Nobody ever said I'm sorry.
And see, like for me, I would never store that memory. I'm like, oh, like,
Okay,
yeah.
Casey, I have to know this because I'm gonna be selfish here for a second. When you are like wrong in an argument, like because my husband is he should have been an attorney. Like he can argue like there will be multiple moments where I'm like, "Wait, is he right? Oh, don't tell him he's right." No. So, when you are wrong, is that easy to admit?
For the most part, I think it depends on what it is or who it is. But for the most part, yes. Like, I mean, I think of my job. So I had a coworker who, when I first like started talking about the Enneagram, you know, and whatever it was, and she had no idea I would have been like, she never would have guessed I was an 8. She's like, I never would have seen you because at work, my 8ness doesn't really come out unless I am protecting my people, and then a different side of me comes out. Like, ooh. But like when it comes to working with like my coworkers, I'm like, oh, I didn't see it that way. Like, oh, that's a really good idea. I don't know why, you know, why my 8ness doesn't come out as strong there. But anyways, you know, I just am able to like collaborate easier or like see other people's point of view, or like I really appreciate when my brain is moving 100 miles a minute and I'm thinking like big picture, and she's like, wait, what about this, this, and this? And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that. In real life, if it's a perfect stranger, it's actually a lot easier to double down for me. If it's somebody I know, I'm a lot easier. It's easier then for me to like step back and go, oh, like I didn't think about it that way.
Interesting.
Casey and I talked about this has been a long time ago, but we talked about once like the difference for her at work. And I think what happens for her at work, this is just my assessment. I've never seen you at work, so you can disagree if you want to. But is that she leans on a 9 wing at work. That really serves her in that space.
I would agree. So I'm a school counselor. So I feel like the root or bluntness of an 8, it does come out with my students sometimes where I'm like, okay, we need to move on. Like we cannot keep having this friendship conflict 8 times a week. Like we're moving on, friends. But other times, yes, that is where I feel my 9 wing is at work. I don't resonate with the 9 wing outside of work, which is kind of weird.
Okay. I didn't know you were a school counselor. That's fascinating. Yeah. Tell me
it is
about that choice. Like, when did you decide that?
When I was in college, I was in my second year and I had to be, so this goes back to kind of this like control piece. I originally was like a global studies poli-sci major. I don't know why, I just chose it. And
that feels very 8.
Right? And I had people asking me, well, what are you going to do with that? Right. I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Like, what do you do with that? And so I went into my advisor and we were talking and I was like, I want to do what you're doing, but with kids. And then this goes back to, so anybody who has become a school counselor or a teacher has become one because either a positive or a negative experience that they had. I had a negative experience with my school counselor and I wanted to be better. I wanted to do better than they did. So I was like, I want to help kids because mine didn't help me.
Oh my gosh.
Surprise anyone?
This is exactly where I was going with this. You just led me right where I was going. I was like, I wonder, like, because of this, like, just unjust thing. But it's also fascinating to me because my husband was either going to be first responder career path or a teacher. And it's this just, unjust thing. He had positive experiences from what I can recall. Also, he loves kids. I don't know, like a bunch of the 8s that I have in my life love children. It's interesting to me. But the interesting part for me around the experience is that like have to right the wrong that happened. It's like, I will prove that this doesn't have to be this way and this will be better.
And that was exactly it. I was like, I want to be there for students as opposed to what I experienced.
Sure. Also, like,
not that they did anything wrong. I just didn't think they were good enough. I don't think I was helped enough, because of course I wasn't going to let anybody help me anyway.
I love that. I love
I
that.
made my own schedules in high school and said, this is what I want. I didn't need them to help me.
Oh my God. With the control piece, when do you find it easiest to let go of control?
Interesting that you asked that. So actually at work, that is actually when I find it easiest. I was like, I don't want to lead. I don't want to lead this committee. I don't want to lead this team. Somebody else can lead for me. I'll just be a participant. So that's an easy one.
What happens at work, though, if somebody doesn't step up to do that?
Oh, then I do. Then I step up and do it. I have gotten better at delegating to like other people, but no, it is. And in the role I'm in, like for some reason, counselors always end up doing the things that other people don't do. Like we have family fun night next week, and who's in charge of it? The other counselor and I. Like we're putting on this whole event. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, that is the answer of, oh, I guess I do actually just do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, one, with your tri-type, you're all 3 assertive numbers. So, of course, it would be like, well, I'll just do it then. But then also, I think that's one of the things that we love about 8s. And Tana and I talk about this sometimes with folks we know, where it's like, you give the project to the 8 because you know they will get it done.
I want to switch gears just a little bit. And one of Holly was sharing with me today, like one of our most listened to episodes is the one about burnout. How does burnout resonate with you? Like what gets you to burnout?
So backing up a little bit. So I remember listening to that one, and I think one of you had said, like, our capacity is so high, like as 8s. And so I don't experience burnout often, but when I do it is because I've overcommitted and I am like, oh, I have to be here and here and here and here, and I'm getting no sleep. And so that's kind of when it hits me. So I would say it's like my overcommitment. Part of that is things that I feel like I have to be at or do and say yes to. Part of it is, I think, the 7, wing, or the 7 in my tri-type of like, I want to do this, and this. I always want to be busy. And so then it's the overcommitment is when then I kind of feel that burnout and my body is like, oh, no, all of a sudden we're going to be sick now. And so it's not until my body is like, hey, this is not okay, that I don't step back until that happens.
So overcommitment of like social events, work event, like what? What do you most overcommit to?
So along with being a school counselor, I coach 2 sports. I take tickets at multiple sporting events. I teach swimming lessons and work at the pool, and I help with Girls on the Run.
Ma'am.
And yeah, so like that's just the school district stuff. And then I, go and decide to train for like endurance sports. I have nephews who I try to go to everything that I can of theirs. Like social events, if somebody's doing something, I'll join in. I was very exhausted when the Brewers were in the playoffs and games were really late because I stayed up to listen or watch every one of them. So, just always doing the things.
Ma'am.
I can go from one event to the next on a weekend. Like I can do this one and then this one and then I have this one.
Big 7 wing. Big.
Holy shit. I'm exhausted listening to that list. So your body stops you. I feel like Brandon would have a lot to say about that.
Mm-hmm. I've gotten better at like only saying yes to the things I want to do and not overcommitting. My go-to phrase that I developed was, I don't have the capacity for that. And then I shared it with everyone else. But I was like, hey, it's a phrase. It works. But anyways, when I do continue to overcommit, then I get sick. It's inevitable. But it's not until then that I stop.
That's crazy. So all of the 8s that I know are like really good at the like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like if they
I can
don't
do that as well.
want to do something, or if it's not about like, oh, like those are one of my people, so I need to go support them. All of the 8s I know are like, yeah, hard pass.
I am actually really good at that too, but it's usually I just want to do everything. But if it is something I don't want to do, it is like hard pass. I will say that. Like, nope, that's a hard pass for me. Like concerts.
Yeah, she doesn't like concerts. So she won't go to a concert.
Wait, why? Why don't you like concerts?
I do not like going and being in an enclosed space with that many people. I'm 5'1.5". I cannot see over anyone. People decide that they need to have my space, and that just drives me bonkers. So if I do not have like an assigned seat, I don't like to go.
Oh my God, you're my husband, Casey.
Okay, so it must be an
Shit
8
is
thing.
wild.
Not exactly all 8.
He's 6'4", but he's like, no. Like, that's a lot of people. Like, he's gotten out of taking our kids to the carnival 2 years in a row. Because he's like, there's a lot of people. I don't know, like, who these people are. People will touch me. I, like, I'm like, oh, okay, great. I'll take both. It's going to be fine.
Take one for the team.
Oh my God. It's stuff like that, or I don't know, like this isn't really a him kind of like he can talk to anyone. He just kind of reads standoffish. Has anyone ever told you like you didn't read that to me whatsoever?
I can read
But-
standoffish. I just had this experience when I was watching the Brewer game by myself, and the bartender didn't ask me a single time if I needed anything. And I was like, am I giving off the like don't talk to me vibe? I know they're losing, but seriously, I'm sitting at the bar. But other than that, no, like I do not read standoffish. I will talk to anybody.
Interesting. My husband will read like standoffish to the point where like granted my grandma is like a super sensitive human being, but she'll be like, did I upset him? And I'm like, Grandma, you're 89. Literally, you could do nothing to upset him. He'd be like, whatever. But he can read kind of standoffish sometimes. But he's social subtype too. So I also have a theory that he gets like very exhausted by being in large groups, like a concert, because he's like kind of always analyzing the landscape and the vibe and like what's going on. But it's a safety thing for him too.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, I want to know where the exits are. I want to know, like,
100%. Where is my quickest route out of here?
yes. We went to a Packer game last weekend, and we left like with 6 or 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter because he's like, we're getting to this car and we are going to be out of here before there's a zillion people around touching me and walking out at the same time as me. And it's a safety thing. We need to go. Okay, fine.
Didn't want to watch the end of this game anyway.
Yeah, no. Why did I drive to Green Bay? Why did I?
Your poor husband. I feel like we pick on him in every episode, and I have yet to meet this dude in real life.
He deserves to get picked on. He's an easy target with this stuff. He's such an 8. Casey, you and him would get along very well.
It is funny, yeah, how like 8s really do get along really well. Like our other 8 friend in triathlon, like we get it, and we'll just like look at each other like we're on the same page.
Yes. An 8 friend I have that Holly, you know, she will razz my husband like no one else, and he loves it. He like gives it right back to her. They're like match my energy, the two of them, and I'm like, the two of you can just go off in the corner and insult each other all day.
Right, because we don't take it personally.
I know. That's wild though. Like, have you ever heard that from anybody where, because my husband does that with his friends, I'm like, you're offensive. You give them such a hard time. But that's like how their relationship is. It's just not like something that I practice with my friends. He will go rounds with his friends of like just like back and forth. They all do it. Do you have that?
Yeah, would you say Aaron goes into his 8 wing when we do that?
Yeah.
I do that. Aaron and I do that.
Yeah, like I've seen like her and Aaron do that. Sometimes I have to be
It's
like,
like a bonding
you,
mechanism.
yeah, because he does lean pretty heavy. He leans much heavier on an 8 wing than he does a 1 wing. Yeah, so I've seen that with Aaron. I have not seen that with our other 8 friend though.
No, I don't do that.
No.
We're just usually on the same page about but we
Yeah.
don't razz each other. But I would say Aaron and I razz each other.
Yeah. Aaron also razzes the other 8 also.
Funny. And like it's this dark humor stuff, my 8 husband too, that I'm like, dude, you need to talk to Brandon. You got some dark and twisties in there.
Shed some light on that.
Yeah, let's shed a little bit of light on where that's coming from. Holly, we haven't asked our question that we said we're going to ask. Guess.
Oh, yeah. So, Casey, if there was something that you felt was not typical of the 8 that you would want to share with people, what would that be?
You had asked this before and I was trying to like think of it. I don't that's a hard one. Oh, okay. I knew. So like when you talk about like feelings, I am a crier. I cry at the drop of a hat. When I see other people crying, I will cry with them. Or if they're not crying, an example, when I went to my uncle's dad's funeral. So like my uncle married into the family and his dad passed away. I went to the funeral. He has 100 siblings. They're all in the line, the receiving line. I am the only person in the room crying. I'm the only one. And he looks at me like, why are you crying? And I'm like, I'm just crying. So I will cry watching movies. I will cry at people's funerals that like I may not have even been close to. I am a crier. Yep. So I don't know where I mean, my mom's a crier as well, but like I can start tearing up at any sign of anyone crying. I'll be working like with students and something happened and I'll like cry.
Oh,
Like I'm okay. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But then I feel it and then I move on.
I wonder if
Do you
that's
think
like
that's true for your husband? Sorry, just like
No.
feel it and move on. No, he holds it.
he holds it. He doesn't. Well, I'll make this story very short, but like one of his best friends that he also worked with moved away up north. So like hours away. So we only see him a few times a year. When that was happening, he was like grieving. He was very sad. And when I would ask him like what's going, because it would show up in really weird times, I'd be like, what's going on? And he's like, I'm just bummed. And that's all he would say. And then he would move on from it. But he will bring that up again. It will come out in like different ways. So sometimes it's a feel it and move on. Sometimes for him it's a move on, but he hasn't actually felt all of it. So it comes back up.
And would you say that would have anything to do with the 3 in my chart type though? Of like, I'm going to feel this feeling and then I got to get shit done.
Well, yes and no. I think the fact that you feel it and move on is actually healthy as long as that's what you're actually
growth.
doing and you're not like ignoring it. Because what happens for 3s is they have a feeling. They may even acknowledge that they're having the feeling, but the feeling's not efficient. And so they just like shove it down in there. And like what happens for a lot of 3s is that then whatever the thing is that they've shoved down in there so deep, later something completely unrelated will cause that to just like spew out of them onto someone else or onto a situation that had nothing to do with where the original feeling came from.
That probably has happened occasionally, but no, I don't resonate with that. So I feel like I feel it. And then, so like, for example, as a school counselor, we have had like crisis response situations. Like say, we've had, in my experience in 13 years, we've had a handful of students pass away. And it's like, go into like mode, crisis response mode. I do it. I take care of what needs to be taken care of. I go home, cry it out, and then I go back to, okay, now I need to move on and like take care of XYZ.
That's really healthy, actually, from like at least you're able to cry it out. My husband will like drive home to some like podcast about like SEAL Team 6 or something ridiculous. something like with high masculine energy. he
Yeah.
So he'll like go experience something difficult and then he'll just like drive home to something equally as high octane or something.
When we had the unfortunate incident in Madison, and being in a school, I like handled it all day, and I went and rage ran on the boardwalk by my house to like 2000s punk rock. And like I had the music up so I never listened to music like super loud, but I had it up so loud and I ran as fast as I could just to like feel it and get it out, because I had bottled it up all day, because I was like, I have to do my job. I have to be here with, kids and with my staff members who are not coping with this well. And oh man, that I needed to just go. My body hurt real bad the next day, but I had to go run as fast as I could for like 3 miles.
Yeah. He was doing jujitsu for a long time, and that was very helpful for like post like stressful situations. He would like literally just roll around and they like literally choke each other out. And I'm like, this is okay. It's a choice. It's a choice.
Well, I feel like that's like how we, with those strong feelings, we have to like get it through our body somehow. And usually physical movement is I think how eights handle it.
Right. Like I need to
can't
do
speak to all
something
eights,
with
but-
this, so I'm gonna move. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and Brandon would tell you that that's healthy too. He would always tell me, like, if I was having a feeling, he's like, you need to separate yourself. You need to go, like, touch grass.
I hate touching grass.
Said in a much nicer way.
Yes, yeah, he wouldn't say it quite. It wouldn't quite be touch grass, but which is
It would
funny
be like, you
because
need to go for a walk.
yeah, it's funny because there'd been times like I'd have a session with Brandon and I'd go for a run afterwards or something like that, and every once in a while, like he and I have a slightly different conversation where it's a little bit like, don't use that thing as a way to avoid the feeling, because I can do it as like a to like go intellectualize it or whatever.
No,
Okay.
I use it to feel the feeling, to like get it out.
Sometimes I do, but sometimes I'm like,
Before Brandon, I would like sometimes cry during workouts. And I started my intake with him and I was like, is this normal? He's like, well, it depends. Come to find out, not normal for me. I should not be doing that.
the only time I have been known to cry during workouts, but usually it's because there's something big happening in my life that's like coming up as I'm doing whatever the workout is.
Sure.
But then what's interesting in the workout space, and not to make this all about Brandon, but I was having some like breathing issues when I was running. This was a while ago. This is one of the first things he and I talked about. But one of the things we talked about is he's like, well, your breathing issue could be coming from this place of like unprocessed grief. And it's for some reason it's like coming up in these moments when you're running, and because of the grief being held in the lungs and that sort of thing. But yeah.
Interesting. We've talked about Brandon a lot today. Thank goodness for that in person next week.
Well, when this comes out, the in-person will be in 2 days. So if you hear this and it's not October 25th yet, you can still get in on the Brandon in-person if you live in the Madison area, I think,
Yeah.
unless it sells out. So
Yeah. Shameless plug for that guy. Anything unsaid, Casey, that people should know about eights or that you feel is important that we haven't covered?
Well, I know you've mentioned it a lot, and it's Holly's analogy of the like marshmallow wrapped in barbed wire. And that's so true. And like, yes, we want to be in control and have all of the things, but yet we don't want to actually have to be in control. I don't want to have to be the one who does all of the things. I don't want to have to be the one to protect myself. But yeah, so I would say that's probably I really resonate when Holly said that the first time. I was like, yeah, that's it. I just want to be a marshmallow. I don't want to have the barbed wire.
Well, right. That's a good point, because as we talk a lot about like, oh, if you know an eight or if you are one, like what would serve you in the relationship that you have with that person. And I think that's 100% true. It's like, how can people think about being helpful enough to you in the situation where you maybe don't feel like you have to have the barbed wire, but like honor the marshmallow and respect the barbed wire when needed, right? Like that makes sense. Holly, anything on
Well,
your
do you
end?
have, so I was just thinking, like, obviously you're doing a bunch of work with Brandon over the last almost year,
Mhm.
but do you have anything when you think about like the growth for an 8, and the growth line for 8s to 2, right? Or even just the growth in your life. Is there anything that you're working on or that you would recommend to other 8s?
So my focus with Brandon has been from the beginning and continues to be my ability to like genuinely connect with other people. I've always made the joke, I don't pick up on vibes from other people. I can read a room and I'm very aware of what is going on in the room, but I don't pick up on the vibes that people are putting out. And so I'm trying to genuinely connect with people, to slow down. My brain has been wired in, the experiences that I had growing up of like I have to over explain, and so I'm always talking and I'm always in control of the conversation. And so I've been working with Brandon on slowing that down. I am single. I have sworn off dating for the last like almost 10 years, probably the last decade, and slowly working through why that is. And part of that is not feeling safe enough to like let anybody in. Recently discovering some guilt there. That was a big moment this week. It was like one of those random memories that I had that I don't normally have a memory to share. And he's like, "Oh, yeah, you felt guilty because you didn't go to a family event because you had a boyfriend." I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess so. I guess you're right." So anyway, so wow, that was eye-opening. I've been working with Brandon on my connection with people, opening up, being willing to date and all of that.
You kind of answered a question I was going to ask, is like the
A lot of
avoidance of
things.
dating and like does that have to, because I hear you saying like you have so many things. Do you feel like you busy yourself to avoid either
Yeah,
that
yes, and
or like time on your own, or like do you feel like you're so busy to avoid anything?
yes. So I was using Ironman training as an excuse. I also, in discovering this with Brandon, was I lean on my family a lot. I am always with my parents or doing something with them or doing something with my sister's family. And that kind of drilled down to the feeling that I need to be the peacekeeper between my parents. And if I'm not there, what will happen? And so completely avoiding my own relationship because I'm afraid of the what if. Like, what if I'm not there? Like, what if I don't show up to that? And then adding this other layer of the guilt of like, I miss this big family situation. It was they were moving my great grandma out of her house, which I had spent a lot of time in my childhood at. And instead I was in high school and I wanted to be with my high school boyfriend and all the things. And then he goes, "Oh, and you were guilty about missing this big family event." So, I'm always doing whatever my family's doing. And so we've been working through like, how do I say yes to the things that I want to say yes to and do, and getting out and doing them. And even if I'm doing them solo, I'm doing them. So that's kind of in hopes of like meeting people,
Sure.
because online dating sucks. It's terrible. I'm trying to get out in real life.
Yes. That's a challenge. I would have never been able to survive like an online dating world.
Same.
So I think it's great that you're like talking about putting yourself out there in real life, and you have obviously so many things that you do. So I feel like you are putting yourself in the right situation to do that if it's something you end up wanting to do or running into someone or whatever. But
Well, and I had to work with Brandon through like, how do I like let down those walls? So it's like,
yeah.
yeah, I was doing all the things, but I wasn't giving off the vibe that I was interested or available or whatever. So it's like working on that. We also have talked about like the masculine energy versus feminine, and the eightness is very masculine. And so that's been a fun conversation too.
I hate those conversations so much.
Oh, those
I was
are
like,
hard.
oh,
Those are hard. Because I
yeah.
absolutely think I'm tougher than I am. Oh, this is very feminine energy. I'm like, no.
Well, and Casey and I are over here, we're like the opposite. Like I'm very much I'm always the, oh, well, you seem to prefer masculine energy. Oh, well, you seem to operate in masculine energy. Oh, well, doing that is masculine energy. I'm like, yeah, I know. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
My
Yeah.
gosh.
So it's like between that with like the masculine versus feminine, and then in like this work now, listening to all the podcasts and actually like focusing on, how I can go to my growth line as a 2, so the feminine energy and going to a 2, it all ties together. It's very interesting to me.
I have all the feelings to share with anyone who needs them.
This
Very
is why we work so well.
feminine
Although,
energy.
although Tana probably sees me crash out more than anyone else in my life, even Erin. We had like a full crash out Thursday.
Yeah, but like I kind of live for that. I've seen like the 8, but it's like that 8 line for her. Like when it comes out, I'm like, there it is. There it is. I love 8s.
I love when that happens.
I love 8s.
Everybody loves when that happens, except for when on the back side of it, I have somebody who decides I'm a bitch because of it. And then they like walk out of my life, and then I have to process all of that. Casey's been around for that.
I have been. And
Yeah.
that's where like as an 8, it's like they walked out, F them.
Right.
Goodbye.
You're like, okay, bye. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then all the
Yeah.
like people pleaser that's still in me is like, no, I have to fix it. Why can't I fix it?
Yep.
Annoying.
Mm-hmm. That's where you have to continue to go with that growth in 8. But that's though where like it's not that we don't care. That like as an 8, it's not that we don't care. Man, that hurts. Like it still hurts, but it's not efficient to. It's like nope, they're gone. Moving on.
No, that's interesting too that you say that, because I think sometimes I forget that you guys do care. Like just because you act like it's no big deal and you'll like right versus wrong and whatever, like there are things that upset you.
Mm-hmm.
And like just because anger might be the emotion that's like most readily available, it might look like anger, but to your earlier point, it's not. It's that you're
Right.
hurt or that like there's something else. So that's a good point. It's a good point.
All right. You got any closing thoughts on 8ness?
Gosh, I love being an 8. I don't think I have any closing thoughts.
It's all right.
I said them all. No, just kidding. But yeah.
Marshmallow wrapped in barbed wire. We love them.
Yep.
We love
Just
'em.
working on, the growth line and
Oh, I thought of one more thing. So I know we just did like a weird little closing thing, and then like I have this brilliant idea that I should have thought of, but I just now thought of it. And that is the like, they say female 8s are the most misunderstood number on the Enneagram.
Mhm.
And I'm curious about how that shows up for you.
that I think that is. I've heard you say that, when I think it was in the original 8 podcast. I often feel misunderstood. Again, it often comes off as we don't care, but we care very deeply. Yeah, I think
that makes a lot of sense. It's also it's hard. The other female 8s that I know, it is hard for them when they are experiencing things like hurt or something that isn't anger. But one of the close 8s that I know, she's like, people just think I'm a bitch or that I'm too much. She's like, I've been told I'm too much my entire life.
yes.
And it's just like from an energy perspective and like a control perspective that she shared that. But it's different when it's male energy. It's different because of like the stigma around feelings and anger and who's allowed to exhibit it in the ways that come out, right?
Well, I think too, if you think about like if you really go into the soul child theory and that 8s were, kind of originally destined to be 2s, like it's so hard to be seen as like somebody who is too much or comes off as like harsh or blunt or, like you don't care when all we want to do is like love on everyone else, or like we
Right.
want everyone else to be protected and safe and taken care of. I don't know how to explain that, but definitely feel misunderstood. I think the difference, though, for me is I work in a very female-dominated field. Somebody's got to take charge.
Right.
So it's not really seen as, like, negative.
Interesting. God, I love 8s. I love 8s. They're the best.
So good. This was fun.
This was awesome. Casey, I get to hang out. God, I got to hang out with you today for a run. I got to do this.
Yes.
You got me through a half.
So,
We're
and
basically
that's
best
like,
friends.
Yep. That like cheerleader side of me comes out in everything.
You did get me through miles 6 through 8. You're like, we got this. It's fine. It's fine.
And that's what I was good until mile 8, and then I was like, well, this sucks.
Oh my
The
God.
hill, the bridge.
Hit the bridge.
But I'm like, all right, we got to get to the other end. We got to get there.
Oh, gosh, yeah, that bridge.
Yeah, everybody asked me how it was, and I was like, up until mile 8, it was great. It was beautiful. It was, pretty flat and fast. And then we got to mile 8, and I was like, no, this is not fun anymore.
We're gonna slowly recruit Tana all the way into the run club. We're
Yeah.
gonna
Sunday morning run and coffee. You made it
Yeah.
today.
we're gonna keep on that.
It was great. It was a beautiful run this morning. Well, this is fun. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so good. All right. So we're going to wrap on this one. We didn't say this at the beginning, but, go find us on all the platforms. Go find Casey on all the platforms. Casey's not on TikTok, but you can find her everywhere else. You can find us everywhere, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Yeah. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with a friend. If you're interested in being a guest, let us know. I do have a 5 who would like to be on the podcast, so we'll have to set that up.
Amazing. Do it.
But yeah, there we go. What am I missing? Anything on closing?
No, this is great.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, guys.
We'll talk to you later, Tana.
Bye.
All right. Till next time.